San Diego, no warm-up needed. If it matters in this city, you're hearing about it right here.
The Michael King contract, super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
What's up, San Diego? Happy Wednesday for everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good to be with all of you today. We are not at the Loft. There was a private event that is happening at the Loft, so we will not be down there today. We will do it the next time we got a day game, but we got very important baseball going on right now throughout MLB. We got a couple of games that have already gotten underway. We got a couple more that are about to start here in just a matter of moments, and these games are very important for the San Diego Padres, and that's where obviously a little bit of scoreboard watching is going to be at the forefront for a lot of Padres fans. I was doing it again last night, and thank God the Padres got it done. I tell you that. I mean, that was a little bit of a scary game right there for the Padres last night. I mean, the Rockies would not go away, but as we talked about in the preview yesterday, Frank and I mentioned pitching staff for the Rockies, not great. Offense of the Rockies, not bad. They're going to be able to swing the stick a little bit.
There was one big major factor of the trio that we forgot to mention being not very good. And boy, did that rear its ugly head yesterday.
And what would that be?
The Rocky defense.
Oh, my God. Rocky defense is a great way to describe it there, Frank. The Rocky defense, I mean, talk about a team. I don't think I have, I mean, I don't want to say ever, but have you ever seen a team be that poor defensively at the major league level?
The only team I mean,
they kick the ball around worse than a Little League team. And I think the Little League teams that played yesterday for San Diego up in the SoCal regionals probably didn't kick the ball around as much as the Rockies did. I mean, even ones that weren't even probably ruled errors, Frank, because they only had only four, they probably could have got dinged with 10. How many times did they just kick the ball around? It's ridiculous. Yeah, they look like a men's softball game at the Poway Sportsplex any night of the week. Ridiculous. They gave you the game yesterday. That's why if you would have lost that game yesterday, that would have been one of the probably up in the top 3 of worst losses of the season, because they continually were telling you, we don't want to win. We don't want to win. Here, take this. No. We insist. We don't want to win this game. Padres kept answering offensively. The offense continues to be really good. Fernando yesterday, 5 for 5, huh? I'm surprised it's the first time in his career he's ever gone 5 for 5. I know that's very difficult to do, but that's just how great of a player Fernando is. I thought for sure he would have done that before. But last night, I mean, I saw some people talk about like, oh, man, it's the Rockies. We got to make this, we can't be making it this close. At this point, you don't care about style points. You're just trying to win. You just got to win now. I mean, do I care if they look good or not in a win? I mean, right now, that part of the season is over. You are in we have to win at all cost mode. This isn't like college football. We're trying to put a resume together. This is, we've won 4 straight games. Let's make it a 5th today, however ugly it may be with, who knows who's coming out of the bullpen today. Are they going chaos day today with Griffin Canning after Kyle Hart, or are they doing the opener with Kyle Hart? I mean, Kyle Hart, the last time he opened for Griffin Canning threw like 8 pitches in the first inning, looked good, and then Canning's first batter he saw, he gave up a home run. If Kyle Hart goes 8 pitches, man, you should probably let him go out there for a second inning. Everything about yesterday was so like up and down. I mean, I had a great day yesterday. I after our show, I went and I had a meeting with USD because we're doing the. I'm helping out with the clinic, the coaches clinic on Saturday, and then after that, I went and I decided to make beer can chicken. Have you ever had beer can chicken, Frank? You steak it.
I have not.
You
No.
take an entire bird, and you shove it on a beer can. Beer can's got like herbs and stuff
that would
in
have
there.
to be a pretty big beer can in order to
Season
shove
it.
it in the beer can.
Season it, smoke that thing for like an hour and a half. So I had some good pasture-raised chicken, right? So I had a nice little smoked chicken dinner. Had some roast potatoes, a little bit of salad on the side. Watched the Padres yesterday. What a thrilling game that was. I mean, you wouldn't want it to be that thrilling, but it was a great Tuesday. And the Padres got the victory. Now, a couple of things to unpack from the game. The Xander Bogaerts situation where the challenge pitch and the umpire was sitting there going like, you're influencing Xander Bogaerts. That was such a crock of crap. I mean, seriously. Such a crock of crap. It was, you watch the replay, the ball's nowhere near the zone. Dugout obviously chirps because it's so bad. And the guy is so worried about getting chirped at by the Padres dugout that he misses Xander tapping the top of his head to review the play. And then it turned into this whole ordeal. Ump show. Out of nowhere. It's like, dude, somebody needs to be able to overcome that. I mean, that was ridiculous. Did it end up hurting the Padres? Not really. Padres ended up winning the game at the end of the day. The other thing, the other one too, a lot of people were upset about too, was the Rockies like challenging the tag up at third base. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, right? I don't understand why the Rockies would do that. I get you're trying to win the game, right? But yeah, bases loaded, nobody out. It's a sac fly, right? I guess if they win the challenge, they would have 2 outs at that point. But you're not even close to competing this year. I like, why even waste your time doing that? And then the double down on it was like, all right, well, we appealed and they said no. Let's make sure we don't look totally stupid and let's review it because we're so concerned about this. I mean, come on. I thought that was kind of ridiculous too. Overall, some of the highlights from yesterday. The biggest takeaway from yesterday's game is the Padres are playing playoff baseball now. I mean, now you have to view these games as playoff games, and you don't care about how you win. You just need to win. I mean, every game carries postseason implications, especially with all these other teams playing that are in front of you, and the fact that you're a game and a half out of a wild card spot. Michael King admitted yesterday that the clubhouse felt some pressure. I mean, you kind of saw that in the way he pitched yesterday. Gave up 4 runs. Not his best outing, but, he battled out there. And the Padres know that they can't continue to waste opportunities after their disastrous 2-month stretch. I mean, I heard what what Michael King said yesterday in the post, I would feel the pressure. It's like, you didn't have to create this pressure on yourself if you guys took care of business for 2 months, right? I mean, it's kind of, is it not, Frank, self-inflicted pressure?
100%.
I mean, they put themselves in this situation. They didn't have to put themselves in a pressure situation of having pressure games before the trade deadline. They did this to themselves. It took them way too long to get going. I thought Manny's comments before the game yesterday were a little bit of an eye roll from me. I like the fact that he might be a little fired up. I don't like the fact that, he's playing the woe is us card and you guys are unfair. I don't think anything the media has said about this Padres team has been remotely unfair, Frank. I really don't.
No, I mean, we've focused on their performance, and their performance has not lived up to what they are supposed to be. And when it turned around, especially on the offensive side for Fernando, for Manny, and now for Jackson, we're giving them praise where it's due. We gave the starting pitching praise when it was time. Now they're struggling, and now we're beating them up a little bit. That's just the way it is. You can't expect to not get criticized when you're not performing.
Even the last month, we read all of these articles. Even in the last month, they all have something positive to say about the offense. It's like, well, they haven't been able to win, but like now it's the pitching staff, and now it's it's not even like it's not even close to cheap shots. It's just reporting literally what is happening. It's like, hey, look, they're not doing very well. It's like, I thought, and you could hear some of the one question. There was two questions that he obviously was upset about. I just think Manny was probably in a bad mood yesterday. It seemed like it. I mean, what was the one question? And I maybe I don't want to say his name that asked it, but he was like, the offense starting to turn it around. Like, what do you say? What did you think? And then Manny was like, I don't know. What do you guys see? You're the ones that say like all the negative things. It's like, all right, man. Okay. I just thought that was kind of ridiculous. And it's just so different than what Xander said after the game. I mean, Xander was like pretty much self-deprecating like the entire interview, except for the fact that he had the confidence of like, I should make that play 10 times out of 10. But we have that clip. We'll play that later. Padres comeback identity still hanging around. I mean, they did it over the weekend. They did it again yesterday. Probably shouldn't have to do it yesterday. Offense is producing consistently. Fernando Tatis Jr., after having a slow weekend in Miami, looks like a superstar again after going 5 for 5. 5 for 5 with all singles, which is pretty impressive. And Fernando's hitting .323 since May 24th. Jackson Merrill continues his resurgence. His last 9 games hitting .457. Machado, again, 3 for 5. Extended his on-base streak to 18 games. He's hitting .343 with a .629 slug during that streak. Michael King is carrying the rotation. But overall, yesterday, a win they needed to have, a win they ended up getting. And, it wasn't pretty. But right now, you don't really care if the wins are pretty or not. You really don't. You're just trying to win. At this point, it's just win, baby. That's it. That is it. Padres get the job done yesterday. They try to continue it today. We'll talk more about that coming up. Also, we got some news late last night. Padres, top prospects moving around. Who got the call up and why? We'll talk about it when we come back. NFL training camp officially here. Biggest story, not just football, but everything that's on the line going into training camp for these NFL teams. Defending champions Seattle Seahawks are trying to become the NFL's first repeat champion in over a decade, but they've lost some key players and coaches. Meanwhile, 5 teams are holding quarterback competitions, including Cleveland with Shedeur Sanders, Atlanta with Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa, Las Vegas with Kirk Cousins battling a first-round draft pick, rookie and Fernando Mendoza. Adding new coaches, stars returning from injury like Patrick Mahomes and Nick Bosa, and veteran free agents still waiting for contracts. Training camp is loaded with storylines. Football is finally back, and the race to week 1 officially begins. Frank, football is officially back. You got to see the training camps out there. Teams will be starting training camp throughout the week. I'm looking forward to finally seeing some NFL football. And last Sunday was the last Sunday without football for the remainder of the rest of the year. So should be good to have a lot of good football back. But, the biggest storylines entering camp, starting with Seattle as being a team that's trying to be the first team to repeat in a long time.
Yeah, it will not be easy for them. Seattle's lost their offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, along with several key contributors from last year's championship roster, including Kenneth Walker III, Reek Wolin, and Kobe Bryant. Head coach Mike McDonald now has to prove that last season was not just a one-year success story. His new offensive coordinator, Brian Fleury, takes control over the offense. So Seattle, they have a very, very tall task ahead of them and a lot of new names and a lot of new places. Yeah, and meanwhile, like just down the coast, the Rams, I mean, in that division, right? I mean, got to be able to make it through your division if you're thinking about repeating as a Super Bowl champion. The Rams entering camp with enormous expectations. I mean, they traded for Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie. They added Jalen Watson. The Rams have assembled one of the most talented rosters and talented defenses
to pair with an offense that features Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. Oh, and by the way, Aaron Donald could be coming back. I mean, Sean McVay mentioned he hasn't made his decision yet. Aaron Donald hasn't made his decision about maybe coming back out of retirement for one more Super Bowl run. But Aaron Donald comes back to this team. I mean, the Rams are not only the team to beat in the NFC West, they could be the team to beat in the NFC and even in the NFL.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald's held workouts there over the last couple of weeks, so he is very much getting into football shape and getting ready, seeing if he can handle another full season grind after being away these last couple of years. That would be a huge get for the Rams. I wonder how much of an impact he'll make, having been on the sidelines for these last few years. But still, I mean, a name like Aaron Donald coming back to that defensive line to pair with Myles Garrett, that is absolutely massive for the Rams.
Quarterback battles, fresh starts, quarterback competitions will headline training camp around the league. In Atlanta, you got Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa battling for the Falcons job. In Cleveland, all eyes remain on Shedeur Sanders as he competes with Deshaun Watson for the Browns' future under center. Raiders will determine whether veteran Kirk Cousins keeps rookie Fernando Mendoza on the bench, while the Vikings have an intriguing battle between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. Arizona also enters camp with Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and rookie Carson Beck, all competing for the Cardinals starting job. Elsewhere, there's a lot of several veterans begin fresh starts with new teams. But let's just talk about the quarterbacks for a second. These are major quarterback battles by a lot of, I would say, middle-of-the-road quarterbacks that are good enough to win you games in the postseason. I don't necessarily know a lot of these guys are Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks or franchise caliber quarterbacks, but you have competition in a lot of areas. Competition does, breed success, but there are a lot of tough battles in Atlanta, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Arizona, and even Minnesota. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Kyler Murray is going to win that job.
No, I don't think so. And Michael Penix Jr., he's lined up as the quarterback of the future for the Atlanta Falcons, and then you bring in Tua Tagovailoa after what happened with him in Miami. I don't see how Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel really stay away from Deshaun Watson just based on take the job away from Deshaun Watson based off of Watson's contract and what Cleveland gave up for him. You're going to have to give Deshaun Watson a chance. So I think that would be the case there. I don't see a world where Fernando Mendoza wins the starting job over Kirk Cousins. I'm one of those guys where you keep guy on the bench for a year, get up to speed, sit under the learning tree for a year.
Especially with that team and the talent that they have. You're going to get him killed in his first year. Let Kirk Cousins get killed. And then if you need to put him into action later in the season, you can. But as you mentioned, I think it's a lot. But most of the good quarterbacks in the NFL kind of waited around a little bit to kind of get their bearings and then set up for success. Let the Raiders draft another bad spot and then get some help for a guy like Mendoza. Arizona, I don't know how they go into camp thinking like Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, or Carson Beck are going to help them.
Jacoby Brissett just restructured
his deal, right? He needed a little bit more money. He is on pace, according to NFL Network, to be the Week 1 starter. But, I mean, Arizona was really just Kyler Murray anyway, and he isn't necessarily one of the better quarterbacks. Gabriel Moreno, it's an 2-run homer off of Jared Jones. That's the guy that the Padres are going to acquire for Mason Miller for the Pirates, right?
Yep.
Jared Jones. Okay. See how that goes. Arizona's up 2-0 on Pittsburgh. We'll take a look at the standings real quick before we talk about Ethan Salas getting the call up to AAA. It was already announced like last night. It's all over social media. Plus the morning show talked about it, so it's not like that big of a tease. All right. The standings look. Arizona beat Pittsburgh last night, so they have the final spot in the wild card. So if you're the Padres and you're looking for somebody to lose today out of that matchup, I'm kind of. I'll get to that in a second because I was kind of torn last night. I was sitting there waiting for my chicken to smoke on the Traeger, watching other games. I was at odds with myself on who I wanted to win that game for a couple of reasons. Washington is about to get underway against the Blue Jays. They're a game out of a wild card spot. They won yesterday after losing on Monday to the Blue Jays. Padres are a game and a half behind Arizona after their fourth win in a row. And then the Marlins, with 2 wins in a row, are right behind the Padres by a half a game. Can't really count the season tiebreaker yet because the Padres still have to play the Marlins here in San Diego. St. Louis is 2.5 back. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost the series over the weekend to the Reds. They have already lost the series to the Cubs. Padres 1.5 behind Arizona. They're 2.5 behind Philly. If you want to include a tiebreaker, it makes it 3, but they're within striking distance of Philadelphia for the number 2 spot. I heard Gwynn and Chris talking about it yesterday on the way home. I'm not so sure Philly's untouchable right now. Not the way they're playing baseball. Philadelphia has lost every series in the ceremonial second half. How'd they do against the Mets, the first series of the second half?
God, I don't remember.
They lost. You should remember. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Phillies played the Mets. They lost 2 out of 3. Phillies played the Dodgers. They lost 2 out of 3. Phillies played the Yankees. They lost 2 out of 3. Phillies played the Marlins. They've lost 2 out of 3. They are up 5-0 right now on the Fish in the top of the 5th inning. They've lost every series since the All-Star break. That's a team that's trending in the wrong direction. I don't think they're untouchable. The Cubs, on the other hand, they've won 7 of the last 10. Padres sit 7 games behind Chicago, which is really 7.5, knowing that you don't have the season series over them either. But that's a look at the standings. The Cardinals, again, 2.5 games behind the wild card spot. They're a game behind the Padres. They're still relatively around right now. They got the Cubs again today. They might be dead and buried if they lose today to Chicago. They're in trouble. Cincinnati split yesterday. They're 6 games under 500. They're 5 games out. You might be ready to draw a line through them and say they're done for the year. But we'll see what happens in a handful of days now. Sounds like this weekend's going to start, getting some. You're going to get some movement this weekend. Say maybe starting Friday, according to Jeff Passan on the trade deadline. But back to Arizona and Pittsburgh. We went over the schedules yesterday, and again, it's not who you play, it's when you play them, and you never know what these teams are going to look like. But at first glance yesterday, Frank, comparing the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, and the Padres, because I think those are the 3 teams battling for the final spot in the wild card, the Padres had the easiest schedule, and then between Arizona and Pittsburgh, I thought Arizona's schedule was way more difficult.
Yeah, I still have those on the backup file, by the way, so they're still there. But yeah, the Padres definitely have, I think, not even between just those 3 teams, but between some of the, in Major League Baseball, they have, I think, one of the top 5 weaker schedules in Major League Baseball the rest of the way. At Arizona, it's very interesting the way both of those teams end the season. And Arizona right now is going through a very, very difficult stretch. Pittsburgh, for the final game of their series playing right now, Cleveland, Padres, Dodgers, Rockies, Braves, Red Sox, Cincinnati, Chicago. That is a brutal haul for the next month that Arizona's going to have to go through. And with the baseball they've played up to this point, what is the likelihood they survive that?
That's why I almost think between Arizona and Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's schedule is slightly easier than Arizona's, you almost want Pittsburgh to lose this one today and put yourself in a better position. I think you're going to be able to catch up to Arizona eventually, at this point. If Padres win today and Arizona wins, you're still a game and a half back, but then you would have passed Pittsburgh. And if Washington loses, you would pass Washington. You would be the first team out of the final spot. So you almost kind of want Arizona to win today. But it's kind of that's like a super deep analysis of Arizona and Pittsburgh. This series is kind of a wash for the Padres. It benefits if you win. But when you have, I'll put it this way, when you have 2 teams that are in your way in the wild card, or 2 teams that you're battling for a wild card spot with, playing each other for the next couple of months, you almost want whoever wins the first game to just sweep, because then you could just bury the other team, assuming that, of course, you win. Because if let's just say the Diamondbacks would have swept the Pirates this week, and you would have taken 2 out of 3, you would have picked up 2 games on the Pirates. So that's always a lot better than just one game per series, because again, it's math, right? So if I take 2 out of 3 and the team loses 2 out of 3, I pick up 1 game in the standings. So when you look at like games back, you have to view it as like series wins back. So like the Padres being a game and a half back right now, it's going to be a little bit different, obviously, once everybody plays the same amount of games, which works itself out. But let's just say the Padres are 2 games back of Arizona. That means the Padres have to win 2 more series than Arizona, and they would be tied. That's how you have to look at it. Because there's so many times where I have people, my friends and fans will be like, oh, it just seems like every time the Padres win, the Dodgers win. Every time the Padres lose, the Dodgers lose. You can't make up any ground. You got to view it more on series than anything else. So if the Padres are 2 games back from a team, they're 2 series back. Padres have to win the 2 series in a row, and then or they have to win 2 series that the team that they're trying to chase then has to lose 2 series. And that it just makes a little bit more sense. At least for me it does, when you look at it from that aspect. And that's why, when you see 5 games back, that's like 5, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad if you win 5 in a row and the team you're trying to track down loses 5 in a row, which hardly ever happens. So the Reds, being 5 games behind Arizona, they have to win 5 series during a stretch that Arizona has to lose 5 series, not in counting sweeps, because it's hard to sweep teams in Major League Baseball, right? And then they would be tied. So, that's why it's so much more difficult to move up the ladder board when it comes to standings. So, I just wanted to talk about that for a second. I think you probably want Arizona to win today more than Pittsburgh, but if Pittsburgh wins, it's not going to be the end of the world. If Pittsburgh wins and you win, you'll be a half game out of a wild card spot. I mean, that almost seems like it'd be better. But Arizona's schedule is a little bit more difficult than Pittsburgh's is, and who knows how many wins or you could get opponents to have over the Pirates, right? So you're trying to find those in your scoreboard watching. A lot of good games on today. Update on the scores. Phillies up 6-0 on the Marlins now in the bottom of the 5th. Diamondbacks up 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th on the Pirates. Those are 2 results that are kind of a wash. I think right now, if you're the Padres after passing Miami, you're kind of hoping the Philly loses that game, but who knows? Miami came back from a couple of games ago against Philly, so we'll see if they could do it again today. I doubt it, though. Blue Jays and Nationals are scoreless as they go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Mets and Braves are not important to the Padres currently. They're scoreless at the top of the 2nd. Orioles and Tigers are also not important to the Padres. Tarek Skubal's pitching today, though, so might be important to some who root for the Tigers seeing Tarek Skubal for the final time. Okay. The big news last night, aside from the fact that the Padres won a thriller against the Rockies, who kicked the ball all over the yard yesterday, was at the conclusion of the game, there was an announcement that Ethan Salas had been pulled up to AAA. He's 20 years old, and so far in AA this season, he's played in 72 games. He's hitting .286, which is the highest average he has ever had, with a .361 on base percentage, a .417 slug, and a .778 OPS. Solid numbers, right? Solid numbers. He is, on average, 4 years younger than the average AA baseball player. I don't know what that's going to look like when he gets to AAA. I don't know off the top of my head what it is. They have the age difference thing on Baseball Reference, just to give you the context of the fact that the kid's 20 years old and he's playing with guys 4 years older than him in AA. So he gets the call up to AAA last night. I think a lot of people were interested in that and wondering why that was the case. Dennis Lin was on with Ben and Woods, and he talked about Ethan Salas getting the call up.
This has probably been delayed by the fact that he had an oblique injury last month, and that slowed him down a little bit. But also, I also look at his offensive numbers since the end of May. He doesn't have a home run since the end of May. So if you take him from the Texas League and San Antonio, where it's pretty hard to hit, to El Paso, where it's like hitting on the surface of the moon, maybe that just gives him a little boost of confidence and helps him have a strong finish to the end of the year. But yeah, I think he probably would have been promoted earlier if he hadn't been slowed down by that injury. And he's actually, despite the lack of extra base hits recently, he's been starting this month pretty well, and he's still pretty good behind the plate. Very good in some respects. So yeah, I think maybe this was just in the works and just took a little longer than expected.
In the month of July in Double-A San Antonio, Ethan Salas is hitting .321 with a .790 OPS. He's got a .405 batting average on balls in play. He has not hit a home run in the month of July, but he does have 3 doubles. He's driven in 4 runs. And, we were talking about this off air, in which it was like, well, why are you doing it now? Why didn't you do it a month ago? I think Dennis Lynn answers that question with the oblique. I mean, he had an issue last year, with an injury that with his back that held him out for the almost entire season. And, for the Padres, I think this is more of a coincidence more than anything else. I don't think you view this as, and I think we're all in agreement, I don't think you view this as they're pulling him up for a trade. I think they're pulling him up to see, like, how much closer is he to potentially being on this major league club. And that dream becomes even closer now that he's in AAA. Not to say that they don't pull up guys from AA, but as Brett Boone mentioned on Ben Woods not too long ago, AA is the determining factor of whether or not you can hang, and AAA is not much more of an added challenge for a lot of players. I mean, that's just kind of like, that's just where they go up and down from. And he gets the hit in a Pacific Coast League that is a very much a hitter-friendly league, and I'm excited to see what Ethan Salas can do.
We have that clip from Brett Boone ready, but my thought is, it's not even why didn't they do it earlier, like last month. You just had a major organizational shift 2 weeks ago when you were pulling guys up and sending them down and moving your organization around coming out of the All-Star break. So to do it now after you just reorganized all of your minor league teams does seem a little odd, but I think this kind of does put an official seal, as close as you can to an official seal, that he's not getting traded at this trade deadline. It makes no sense to bring a guy up to AAA to showcase him for a couple of days to potentially move him. That just doesn't make sense to me. The only question I would have, again, is you just shook up the entire organization last week or 2 weeks ago. Why Salas 2 weeks later, unless it has to do with that oblique injury?
I think that's probably the case. I think it's probably, why if he's dealing with an oblique injury, pull him up to AAA and throw even more at him. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that he could be closer to the big leagues than you would think. So we're going to get that clip from Brett Boone on Ethan Salas. We got to take a quick break. We're going to continue the conversation of Ethan Salas and what it means with him getting pulled up to El Paso and how much closer he is to potentially wearing a Padres uniform. We'll get to that when we come back. MLB trade deadline is less than a week away. It's a week from Monday. It's August 3rd. And the biggest question isn't just who gets traded. It's what those moves say about each team's ambition. The Dodgers are in their own category, World Series or bust. Teams like the Yankees, Braves, Brewers, and Rays are contenders in their leagues, but they have to decide whether now is the time to go all in. Padres are one of the most fascinating teams, of course. They have the talent to compete, but the big question is whether they need another frontline star to become a real October threat. Meanwhile, teams like the Mets and Giants have to decide whether to sell after disappointing seasons. The trade deadline doesn't just reshape rosters, it reveals which teams truly believe they can win a championship. Every year leading up to the MLB trade deadline, we spend weeks asking the same questions. Who should buy? Who should sell? Who needs pitching? Who needs offense? But sometimes the most important question isn't what move will a team make? It's what does the move tell us about how the team sees itself. That's the idea behind MLB's ambition tiers on MLB.com heading into the August 3rd deadline, because every trade tells a story. A team trading for an ace is saying, we believe this is our year. A team adding a bullpen arm is saying, we're close, but we're not going all in. And a team selling while sitting near contention is telling everyone, we don't think this roster is good enough. And with so many teams still fighting for playoff spots, this deadline could reveal which franchises truly believe they belong in October. Let's start with tier number 1, World Series or bust.
World Series or bust, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I think that's basically it.
Tier 2, contending,
moving on.
Contending sustainably. The Yankees, Brewers, Rays, and Braves. These are franchises that expect to be competitive every single year. The Yankees might have been in tier 1 if not for injuries, especially the uncertainty surrounding Aaron Judge. But if Judge returns healthy, New York immediately becomes one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. Atlanta are interesting because they have experience making aggressive deadline moves. Alex Anthopoulos has shown he will trade prospects if he believes a championship window is open. The Brewers and Rays are fascinating because they think because they have reached this position without spending like traditional contenders. So the big question is, well, number one, do they finally push all of their chips into the middle? And two, with you being a part owner of the Atlanta Braves, have you thrown your hat into the ring here with Alex Anthopoulos?
These 4 teams in particular, I don't think the Yankees have interesting enough prospects to make too many significant moves. The more we look into this, because of the fact that they were interested in Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon, the more I just go, I don't really like what they have to offer. And especially if they're not going to offer George Lombard Jr. I mean, they have the 26th best farm system in baseball for a reason. I mean, they have a couple of good players here and there, but notice the names they keep dangling out there. They're players that aren't very good. It's like Will Warren is not very good. I mean, even a team like the Padres that needs starting pitching, it would be a mistake to get a guy like Will Warren. He's not that great. He's not knock your socks off. Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez. I mean, these are guys that the Yankees don't want anymore. And if they're going to make any type of significant trade, they're going to have to give up a Dax Kilby. They're going to have to give up a George Lombard Jr. I see they add at the fringes. I don't think they have the capital to potentially actually add what they need to add. The Brewers, until they go all in, I will refuse to believe that they will ever go all in. They haven't shown that once over the last handful of years. They've made the playoffs, I think, 7 out of the last 8 years, and they've gotten bumped by the Dodgers in almost every single one of them, or they have failed to advance in the playoffs. It's because they take away from their team more than they add to their team at the deadline. The Rays are always a little cautious, right? They don't have too many resources. I don't think they go all in, but they'll definitely add at the deadline. And the Braves have the ability to go all in, and I think Atlanta does after the last couple of seasons of being disappointing due to injuries, plus the fact that they never really know if they're going to have a full team going in October or not. They always get some rough injuries here and there. But that gets us to tier 3 and teams that can make noise in October. I mean, it's like the Phillies and the Cubs who have, they're both, if they combine teams, they'd be really good. Cubs have no pitching. Phillies have no offense. Red Sox are just on a resurgence right now. But, I mean, everybody wanted that entire front office fired about a month ago. Mm-hmm. The Guardians are always around. Right, and Seattle takes another big loss on Monday, and their schedule is difficult, and it's going to get even more difficult, and they got no offense. And the thing that they have is pitching, and their pitching is not really helping them out right now. I mean, this is the most interesting group of the bunch.
We spoke about it on Monday's show about Lance McCullers, who got DFA'd by the Milwaukee Brewers. And how willing would you be to take a flyer on Lance McCullers, who's coming off of injury, but he has been a frontline starter for a contending team in the Houston Astros? Right at the very end of our show on Monday, the Chicago Cubs, who, what have we said about the Cubs all season long? With how many pitching injuries they have had, they need starting pitching. They need pitching more than anything else. They just DFA'd Jameson Taillon. I would be so much more willing to take a flyer on Lance McCullers than I would Jameson Taillon, because if the Cubs need pitching as bad as they are, you'd kind of have to suck it up with a guy like Jameson Taillon. And they
Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I don't know what people are arguing with themselves in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering what that's.
I got my High Point shirt on today. Repping my sister's school today. I should have done it the other day at, it's funny, the other day, I think it was softball. Because me, my brother, and my sister are all playing now.
Mm-hmm.
I think my brother was wearing a TCU shirt. My sister was wearing a Tennessee shirt. I didn't get the memo to wear the High Point shirt, so I'm wearing it today. High Point University. Go Panthers. Made the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. That's pretty fun, huh?
There you go.
All right. Anyway. Now, caller ID from Baylor Health. Definitely not answering that phone call. If you call in and it says Baylor, we're not answering. Ever. We're not at the loft, as you can see.
We're at the penthouse.
We're at the penthouse. I want to say it's because it's funny, like, so I don't know if the two are related. I don't want to. I'm just. This is all for fun. I don't want to make it a big scene about it. I don't need anybody to get upset about this.
Where's the conspiracy theme?
But I will say this. My brother asked me, like, he told me like 2 months ago that his company was going to be in the Western Metals, like on the roof of the Western Metal building for the game. And it was on a day game. And I was like, that's great. We usually broadcast from the loft, so you could come down and get there early and whatever. And today is that day. And the Padres told us that they have a private event at the loft today, which happens. It happens all the time. So that's why we're not at the loft. They had something come up. It makes me think that, you know what? Did my brother say, you know what? We don't need his ass here. Can we rent the whole thing out so he doesn't have to be here?
I think not.
I don't know. So for people that are wondering why we're not at the loft, I didn't want to see my brother today. That's just what it was. No, just kidding. They had a private event up there at the Western Metal Supply Company building. You could do that. It's pretty fun. I think they have some cool packages you could do in order to have that experience. It's a great experience. So obviously that takes precedent over our show, which is fine with us. And we're at the loft, or we're at the penthouse today. Be at the loft next on the the next afternoon. Whoa! Too much hate in the YouTube chat.
What happened?
Foul on little bro. Yeah, you know what? That counts. I'll take that. Matt gets a foul for that.
He draws the foul.
I mean, it could be two totally separate events at Petco today. But everybody want to know why we're not at the loft today. That's why we're not at the loft. They have a prior engagement up there. So that's cool. It's cool with us. All right, let's talk about Ethan Salas. So for the first time since injuries and struggles stalled his rapid ascent, Ethan Salas, once again, looks like the elite prospect Padres believed they were signing for $5.6 million in 2023. The organization has promoted its top prospect to AAA El Paso this week after an encouraging bounce-back season at AA San Antonio. While Salas' numbers don't jump off the page, the promotion represents something much bigger. Padres believe he's back on the development path toward becoming their catcher of the future. To anybody that said, why didn't they do this earlier? Well, he was dealing with a little bit of an oblique a month ago. At this point, he's obviously healthy enough to get the call up, and it's going to be interesting to see what the next step is for Ethan Salas and how much time he spends in AAA. I mean, the kid's 20 years old. He's your number one prospect, I don't think they rushed him. I think they've just been challenging him the whole time, and this is where I disagree with some people about, like, well, you don't want to bring him up. You're going to ruin the guy. This guy's gone through a lot of adversity already in the minor leagues. He's been playing in leagues that are way older than him. He has dealt with a season-ending injury. He's dealt with injuries in the past. He has overcome all those things and still been able to put up good numbers. This is just the next test on the list. But according to Brett Boone, who joins the morning show once a week, he talked about this and made it sound like it's not that much bigger of a challenge coming from going to AAA from AA as much as it is from single A to AA.
Well, I think it's just part of the maturation process. I mean, AA, if you've got the skill set and the mind, if you're wise beyond, mature beyond your years as a ball player, it doesn't matter. You can go AA right to the big leagues. AA is kind of the measurement. High A ball, you start to be a baseball player. AA, if you can hang at the AA level and compete and do well, that's the skill set necessary for the big leagues. AAA is just a little more of a polished player. You're going to be playing with older players that have been there, done that. Probably a lot of them have touched the big leagues. And you're going to start to see how big leaguers pitch. The only difference is when you go to that next level, and it's always been this way. It's AAA, you've got bona fide professionals that know how to do it, know how to walk, know how to talk, know how to play like a pro. Pitchers stop throwing at the AAA level, they're pitching.
I think this is another step in trying to challenge a kid that they think the ceiling of potential is incredibly high. And this is a situation in which I would not be surprised if he's up with the big league club sooner rather than later. Now, what I mean by that is it's now not out of the realm of possibility that he is on the team next year. I don't think it's out of the possibility that that's the case. I think it would be incredibly early, but with expanding the roster to 2 spots in September, what seemed like what would be a crazy pickup for Ethan Salas at that point in time doesn't seem as crazy anymore if he has a really good August in El Paso. And so they continue to push this guy. I mean, he began professional baseball at 16. He reached AA before turning 18, and now he's in AAA at just 20 years old. And this is even more spectacular, Frank, because of the fact he's a catcher. And few catching prospects in baseball ever move this quickly. I mean, when they signed Ethan Salas when he was 16, he was a catching prospect. I think a lot of people were like, well, you're not going to see this guy for like a decade. Because that's how catchers move. Because not only do they have to get their bat, right? But they have to know how to handle pitchers. They got to handle pitching staffs. They got to be able to do a lot more than just your regular, position player prospect. And I think this is an encouraging sign for the Padres. I think this is great for the Padres, and I don't think this is a showcase for him to be traded. I think this almost confirms that he won't be traded by Monday.
Yeah, that's more or less what this move has the feeling of, is that this is just confirmation that he is going to be staying and sticking around for a while. And I think that I personally would not like to see him this year up to major league level. Let him get a full year in the minors, no injuries that keep him out for an extended period of time, his first professional year without an injury. Let him build up that momentum in the minor leagues, invite him to camp next year. Obviously, if he blows everyone's doors off, fantastic. He's your backup catcher. If not, then AAA, start at AAA with a basically a Rodolfo Duran situation where you're the first guy up if something happens. So this is a great step forward for Ethan Salas and a wonderful progression for him, still being as young as he is.
AAA is going to be a big offensive test, I think. I mean, the PCL is one of the league's most hitter-friendly leagues, and that makes this promotion very fascinating because if Ethan Salas produces, people might dismiss it because of the environment. If he struggles, people will overreact about this as well because, the numbers in the PCL get so skewed. But as we've mentioned before, you've got to look at the underlying details of this more so than like the overall stats. I mean, the Padres are going to likely focus on his plate discipline, his pitch recognition, handling veteran pitchers, because you got some veterans down there now that he has to either catch or go against. See how his defensive growth is, his game calling. I mean, working with ABS as well. I mean, that's some of the challenges that he's going to face and something that the next test for him in AAA. But the big reason why, the reason why catchers for the most part take a long time to come up is not because of their offense. It's usually because of their pitching staff, handling the pitching staff. It's because of defensive mechanics and being good defensively. And that remains the biggest reason why everybody loves Ethan Salas. He's mature above his years. And even during offensive struggles, scouts have remained convinced he'll become an above-average defensive catcher. And his strengths include leadership. I mean, we heard about the leadership stuff like in spring training, where he's surrounded by all these veterans. And he's like working in the big league camp a little bit. But leadership, pitch framing, baseball IQ, arm strength, maturity, he's 20. I mean, those are the traits that evaluators like about him. That's why they still rank him among baseball's top prospects. And because of that, his prospect status has recovered. I mean, at the start of the season, MLB.com removed him from the top 100 because of injury concerns. Now they have him as a top 30 prospect, 30th best prospect in all of Major League Baseball. Baseball America has him number 11, which is a remarkable recovery in just a few months. But you know what? Everybody was asking, like, well, it'd be nice to have a top prospect right there knocking on the door. Well, he got one in AAA now in Ethan Salas. He's currently the Padres' top prospect, only consensus top 100 prospect, potential long-term answer at catcher, and for an organization criticized for its thin farm system, Salas does represent some hope there. And I think it's interesting to see him be in AAA. I can't wait to see what he does. You know, we'll see if he's in the lineup tonight for the El Paso Chihuahuas. But the Padres aren't expected to rush him to the major leagues anytime soon. I don't know why you would. They're going to continue. They're going to see how he continues to improve offensively. The goals include handling experienced professional pitching staffs, refining his game management, adjusting to higher velocity and sequencing, prepare for competing for a major league job in 2027. And the organization would much rather have him over-prepared than promoted too early. I think he probably has a really good shot of making the team next year. I think that, you know, depending how he does in El Paso, it impacts what you do during the offseason and who becomes expendable and who doesn't. And on top of that, like, I don't think it's crazy that he could be one of the two guys that get called up in September. And that would be not necessarily to have him be a guy that they rely on, but just to get the experience a little bit at the big league club. The downside, of course, is like it starts his clock. But, I mean, what's stopping him from being the backup catcher in the postseason if he needed to? I think that could bring you some good experience. It might be a lot for a kid, but you know what? When the Padres usually go to the playoffs, they don't really use the other catcher anyway. You know, what's it hurt? I mean, he already proves he could be good defensively. What's it hurt? He goes up there to be the defensive catcher in the playoffs and get some playoff experience, or like at least understand what it's like to do things at a big league level. But this is the right step, and this is a good step in the right direction. The future's getting here closer than you think, Padres fans. You know, and it's going to be interesting to watch him play in El Paso. But I think at this point, I don't think there's any chance that he gets traded before the deadline. I think he is a guy that's going to be on this team, and I think they think that highly of him. And here's the other thing too: they've kept guys like him in the past. They kept Fernando. They kept Jackson Merrill. They kept Luis Camposano. I mean, they've kept some guys in this farm system too. I think everybody just assumes that Preller trades everybody away, but out of the guys that you produce, because you only really produce one really good player maybe once a year, once every couple years, Padres traded away two of those guys, and three of them. I mean, Leo DeVries is probably that other guy as well, but this is one of the guys that they have kept. I think they continue to keep him. They kept him last year when he was hurt, Frank. They could have traded Salas last year to Los Clemente instead of DeVries and been like, you know what, we don't think this guy's going to work out, but they still kept him. And I don't think that was because teams didn't want to take a flyer on him because of the fact that he had the back injury last year. So I'd be shocked if this guy gets traded by Monday. I think he's going to be. I think he's just getting the next challenge on his list before he becomes a big leaguer.
Yeah, I think this more or less seals the fact that he will not be traded. going into this deadline. So now it's really about keeping Schoolcraft and Mayfield, and then the rest of the chips fall where they may.
That's why they had those articles this week about AJ Preller being creative. I mean, a lot of the deals that he made last year. I mean, the Miller one was obviously the one that they gave up a lot of top prospects for. But you could get creative out there with some of these trades with a lot of these teams, and just some teams acquire a lot of quantity and hope one of them works out. But we'll see what happens. But Ethan Salas gets the call up. When we come back, we'll talk more about today's game, dive into what's going on around Major League Baseball with the trade deadline, latest rumors. Got a lot to get to. 1 more hour to go before the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show. Padres and Rockies coming up later. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Diamondbacks have a 3-0 lead now on the Pirates in the bottom of the 6th inning. Marlins have cut the Phillies' lead in half. It's now 6-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Jacob Marcy is up with a runner on third and 1 out as the Marlins try to come back to maybe sweep the Phillies today. Blue Jays and Nationals are scoreless in the bottom of the 4th inning. Those are the games that matter to the Padres. The games that don't matter to the Padres, the Tigers have a 3-0 lead on the Orioles in what could be the final game for Tarek Skubal in a Tigers uniform. And the Mets and the Braves are scoreless in the top of the 4th inning. Games coming up next, Brewers and Giants at 12:45, Padres and Rockies at 1:10, Rangers and Rays will be at 3:40, Guardians and Reds will be at 4:10, Royals and Twins at 4:40, Yankees and White Sox at 4:40. Other game that matters to the Padres, Cubs and Cardinals at 4:45. Astros and Angels will be at 6:38. Red Sox and A's will be at 6:40. Mariners and Dodgers at 7:10. Braves and Mets will also be in game 2 of a doubleheader today at 4:10. Chris Sale will go against Christian Scott in that game. That's a slate of MLB games today. Okay. We talked about the Padres a little bit. We talked about Ethan Salas getting called up to AAA. Let's talk about how the trade market has moved today. Sounds like Friday is going to be a day that sees a lot of action. But what's the latest in terms of what's trending on the rumor mill? Let's get to our MLB trade update that we've been doing each and every day at 11 o'clock.
You're going to have to take over here for a second. I'm busy.
What are you busy with? Oh, no.
Booking a flight to Seattle.
Here we go. Why are you booking a flight to Seattle, Frank?
Because it is going to be Jimothy night at T-Mobile Park. I'm getting a Jimothy shirt. That will be happening.
Are raccoons your favorite animal?
Yes, they are. I believe I've said this before. I don't remember this being a
Trash
secret.
Panda Auto Racing?
Yes. I mean, I don't make
Auto
it all.
Sports?
I don't make it all that unknown.
It's true. All right. Well, and maybe you can make a trade at the trade deadline to acquire Jimothy.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday against the Tigers. Next Wednesday.
Oh, without Tarek Skubal, we'll see how the Tigers do.
I don't care about Tarek Skubal. I want my Jimothy shirt. All right. Yes. It all, on a seriouser note, the Chicago Cubs are the first team on this list here. The Cubs desperately need starting pitching, but reports say they're only willing to trade top prospects if they're getting a pitcher with years of control. Otherwise, they're sticking with rentals. Big question here. Should contenders ever trade elite prospects for rental pitchers anymore?
I mean, it depends, if that's the guy that's going to put you over the top. I mean, rental pitchers, I don't... Because the difference with this is the Padres traded an elite prospect for not a rental pitcher, but a guy that they had control over for 4 years, right? That's a little bit different. I understand, championship windows don't stay open forever, and flags fly forever, but I don't think a lot of teams are willing to do that anymore. I really don't. Not for a rental. I think if you're going to get a rental... or if you have a rental and you're trading away, you're not expecting a top prospect. And I think the leverage is on the team that's buying there more than the team selling, because the team buying understands that you don't get anything at the end of the year. I mean, maybe a draft pick. So if you're the Padres, are you giving up Ethan Salas for Freddie Peralta? Absolutely not. Are you giving up Ethan Salas or Cruz Schoolcraft or Cash Mayfield for a rental? Probably not. I think the only way you do this, if your farm system's so loaded you don't even care and you're desperate to win a World Series. But I don't think contenders should ever trade elite prospects for a rental pitcher. Unless you're so good at the big league level, it's the one piece you need and you know it's going to put you in the best situation. I just don't see it, Frank. I don't know what you think.
I don't either. It's why would you trade? That makes more sense for a position player, but a rental pitcher, I don't see. I don't see why that would be a thing anymore. It is 6-4 in South Beach now, by the way.
They're coming back.
The Astros and George Springer. One of the more fascinating rumors is George Springer potentially returning to Houston. He's 36 and heating up at the plate, and Toronto is looking to sell. Would bringing back George Springer be a smart move or a nostalgia move?
I think it's more nostalgia than anything else. I also think, the Astros say they're going for it. They're one game under 500, but they're a game out of a wild card spot. With the trade deadline, being a seller's market and not a buyer's market, they might not have a lot of options. Maybe they think bringing George Springer back to Houston will resurrect them a little bit, but he hasn't really done that well. And they didn't really, didn't really work out for them when they brought Carlos Correa back. If they want to bring him back for the vibes and hope for the best, that would be the only reason why you would bring back George Springer. But bringing George Springer to the Astros is not going to be the guy that puts him over the top. This is not the same George Springer that you had in Houston a long time ago. I get he knows the organization. I get he's been a proven playoff performer. I get he brings veteran leadership. I know his bat's starting to heat up a little bit, but he's very limited defensively. He's battled some injuries. He's an older player. And Houston needs to be more athletic, not necessarily, bringing back the memories. So I think that would be an emotional trade more than anything else.
What memories are you bringing back? Would be my question. Would it be trashy memories? Is that where we're going with that? Or?
He wasn't on. Was he on the team that won after the fact?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Was.
No, not on the team that won after.
I don't think he was.
Yep, all that for the bit. The Cardinals.
He was not on that team.
No. The Cardinals are reportedly willing to listen on almost everyone except Jordan Walker and J.J. Weatherholt, and that includes Lars Nootbaar and Ivan Herrera. If you're St. Louis, is it finally time to admit the core isn't good enough? It's
a little early, don't you think?
Well, it's not even that. It's also, this is kind of back to status quo from where they were at the offseason and what they were expecting for the offseason. Those are the only two guys that you couldn't touch, and everyone else.
Yeah, I think everybody's still available. I think they went with the young guys and tried to figure out who they want to keep here in St. Louis and who they want to build a team around. And they want to build a team around Walker and J.J. Weatherholt. And as of right now, you could still cut some ties and load up more prospects. They're going to have some money to be able to spend because they've done it in the past. Their payroll right now is $99 million, and 12.5 of it is going to Dustin May. And J.J. Weatherholt did just sign a contract extension. So he's going to stay. They're going to keep, Jordan Walker. But everybody else, if it's the right price, I think it might be worth it, especially the guys that are already in arbitration. Jojo Romero, Lars Nootbaar, Andre Palante, Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, Matthew Liberatore. Those are the guys that we said during the offseason should be available for the Cardinals to trade away because, what's their window going to be like? At that point, we didn't know too much about J.J. Weatherholt and Jordan Walker, being able to consistently compete, right? We've seen the flashes, but now it's okay, J.J. Weatherholt's 24, Jordan Walker's 24. They have a couple of years to, get everything back on track and then really go for it. It depends on, do these players fit the window? At age 29, Jojo Romero doesn't fit the window. He's a free agent at the end of the year anyway. Lars Nootbaar, he's 28. He's going to be 29. He doesn't really fit the window with 2 years of control left. Andre Palante, same thing. I could see the Cardinals trading everybody that's not tied down to the ship. This would be just the continuation and probably the final step in their rebuild process.
Yeah, and this is, again, expected. This is what the expected result was going into the season. The Baltimore Orioles.
Hey, Birdland.
Hey, Birdland.
It was Birdland last night after they got embarrassed 14-0. Their playoff odds are now under.
Squirrel didn't run on the field.
That's true.
Their playoff odds are under 20%, and now the baseball world is waiting to see if Mike Elias finally waves the white flag. When should a front office admit that their season is over?
I don't know. They don't have any pitching. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. They're 4 games under 500. I mean, it's over. I mean, what are they going to admit that all the young guys that they hoarded didn't work out? And you probably should have traded some of them to add to the team, the core that you had a couple of years ago when you were competing to win a AL East. That was the time to make some of these moves. They're the perfect description of not the other extreme, the opposite extreme of the Padres of just trying to keep every prospect. I think it burned them, and I don't know how many of these guys are going to be able to part ways with. And it might be, they're not going to get as much back as they did before because some of these guys came falling back down to earth. Guys like Jackson Holliday that just has not lived up to expectations yet. It sounded like Adley Rutschman was available. I mean, this is the time where Baltimore, I think, needs to start really going like, this is our core, and this is what we're going to add to in the offseason. But they have to be willing to spend money, and they have to be willing to, part ways with some prospects to get the assets that they need, especially after signing Pete Alonso.
The first of which they have shown. They have shown that they will spend money, though.
The Dodgers are still viewed as the favorites for Tarek Skubal, despite already having one of baseball's most talented rosters. At what point does going all in become bad for baseball? I think the answer to this was about, 2-3 years ago.
Probably 2 years ago. This is why you have the political ads on the MLB TV for salary caps and everything like that. It's because of situations like this. I mean, if the Dodgers get Tarek Skubal, which I think they're like the only team that they can outbid everybody for him. If they get Tarek Skubal and then they add all these guys back, right? Like Blake Snell hasn't pitched at all, and oh man, what's that guy's name? The dude that looks like he's in Oppenheimer. What's that guy's name? Tyler Glasnow. They're gonna get all these guys back. They don't need them. I just think it's just going to make it funnier if they don't win the World Series because it's going to be the biggest failure of all time, having all the best players in Major League Baseball on one team. I mean, people don't want to watch that. That's why, college football has had the issues that they have had. They don't want to see the same teams over and over again. It's boring. That's what happened in the NBA. It's boring. This is an entertainment business more than anything else. If they do that, if Tarek Skubal ends up on the Dodgers and the Dodgers win another World Series, guess who's going to have zero leverage in any type of negotiations for the labor negotiations?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to feel bad for the players at all. They're going to be like, I don't want to watch this sport if it's the same team over and over again with all the best players.
Miami Marlins have tied this game. They have the go-ahead run 90 feet away in the bottom of the 7th inning, and it may have cost them Otto Lopez, who came up lame after hitting home plate to tie the game.
Otto Lopez, who we're about to talk about in a second.
Well, my Seattle Jimothy's are now below 500.
That's what we're going to call them now?
Yep.
Okay.
But still plan to buy. They're looking for a right-handed bat while also considering trading Luis Castillo.
Can you really buy and sell at the trade deadline?
I think you can if you have something that is a plethora of. I think the Padres could theoretically sell a bullpen piece or two and improve their roster in other spots. I am open to trading Adrian Morejon, as I mentioned before. But, if you're going to be super competitive about it, it's going to be hard to give up Adrian Morejon, who's your best lefty out of the back. But I think you could do it. I think you could buy and sell at the deadline if you have an elite center of one thing. Especially if you don't have enough positions for it to go around. If you got another starting pitcher coming up in the ranks, which I think Seattle does,
yep.
I mean, you could trade an Emerson Hancock or Luis Castillo and get other pieces back to help solidify your team. So I think they can do it. I don't think there's a lot of teams that can. I think the Mariners are one of the teams that, in fact, can do that.
Yeah, Emerson Hancock, they've said they're pretty intent on trading him over the course of this deadline.
Executives around baseball say pitching prices are still through the roof. Teams want premium prospects for almost every starter available. Should buyers wait or panic before someone else gets their guy?
It just takes one. Whoever blinks first is going to create the domino effect, and it's going to be a lot of moves is going to create the pressure. I think right now you still got to wait. I mean, by Friday, if you get a deal that you like, that's probably the time you want to pull the trigger on that. But you don't want to, it's like musical chairs. You don't want to be the team that's left there without a chair, aka left there without adding at the trade deadline, because that is almost as catastrophic as making the wrong move, is not doing anything at all.
Boston is reportedly targeting Miami all-star shortstop Otto Lopez.
Well, let's see if they're still doing that.
Probably not anymore. Who's hitting?
We'll see if he stays in the game.
Yeah, that's the big one. Who's hitting over 330 and is still under team control. Would you rather trade for a proven veteran or bet on a player who's just breaking out?
I mean, who's the proven veteran that they would go get? That's a shortstop. Xander Bogaerts? Is that really helping you? I think Otto Lopez probably makes the most sense. I mean, you want a shortstop or you're not? I think for shortstops, you want the young athletic player more than anything else. So I could see the Red Sox doing that. Unless they think the proven veteran is like C.J. Abrams. But they are both all-stars. And they're both guys that probably are going to cost something a little bit more significant than others. Otto Lopez, I don't know how. I want to say he has more years of control than Abrams, right? Otto Lopez, yeah. Otto
He's
Lopez
in the game. Stayed in.
Is a free agent in 2030. And C.J. Abrams, I think, is what, a free agent in 2 years?
I believe so, yeah.
So probably going to cost you a little bit more to get Otto Lopez. We'll see what the Red Sox decide to do. If I'm them, I'd rather go get C.J. Abrams if I'm the Red Sox.
Well, quickly, we'll go back to Houston here. Houston wants another outfielder, but here's the problem. Their farm system is one of the weakest in baseball. Can a team with a bad farm system realistically stay aggressive at the deadline?
I think so, because you can get creative with it. And here's the other thing I have to evaluate with this. Just because MLB.com evaluates farm systems for the public doesn't mean every team views those prospects the exact same way. Every team views prospects in different ways. The Padres have ranked every team's organization in different orders than what you probably see on all of these other sites. I mean, if MLB.com, Fangraphs, and Baseball America all can't agree on ranking prospects, you think all these teams are going to agree on ranking prospects? I mean, there might be guys that are like 15 on MLB Pipeline that other organizations view as like a number 1 or 2 in their organization. It's probably not that extreme, but I'm just using it as an example. So I think AJ Preller has shown that you can do that. We've seen it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But that will do it for our update on the trade deadline. We'll keep you updated on what's going on in Miami between the Phillies and the Marlins. They have tied it now as they go to the 8th inning. We will also keep you updated on Arizona and Pittsburgh and Toronto and Washington. But big news that I wanted to get to on the golf course. Big news involving Torrey Pines in the PGA Tour. We'll tell you about it when we come back. Another fun week of motorsports. Alex Bowman announced he'll retire from full-time NASCAR competition after the 2027 season, saying injuries, family, and life beyond racing influenced his decision. Meanwhile, Corey Heim keeps making history, winning the Brickyard 400 to earn his second Cup Series victory, despite only being a part-time driver. Joey Logano says NASCAR will be battling Heim for years to come, and it's hard to disagree. In Formula One, Lando Norris picked up a huge victory at Hungarian Grand Prix, while championship leader Kimi Antonelli extended his points lead heading into the summer break. One generation is becoming a step away, while another is already taking over. Let's start in NASCAR. Alex Bowman announced retirement plans, while Corey Heim keeps rewriting NASCAR history. This week was featured major headlines both on and off the track, starting with Alex Bowman, who announced he'll retire from full-time NASCAR Cup Series competition after the 2027 season, citing health concerns, family priorities, and a desire to step away while he is still in his prime. Meanwhile, Corey Haim continued his remarkable rise by winning the prestigious Brickyard 400, becoming one of the sport's brightest young stars. Formula One also wrapped up the first half of the season with Lando Norris claiming a victory in Hungary. So let's start with the NASCAR Cup Series. Alex Bowman is going to retire.
Yeah, Alex Bowman's going to be retiring after next season, not this season. There was one of their biggest off-track stories that came out this week, a week on Thursday, when Hendrick Motorsports announced that Bowman will return for one final full-time season before retiring. Bowman said his decision is not performance-related. It is instead years of injuries, including multiple concussions. He had to sit out, I believe it was most of last year, because of concussions. He's broken his back. A frightening vertigo episode earlier this season, which also kept him out of the car, have convinced him that it's time to prioritize his long-term health. The 33-year-old also wants to focus on starting a family with fiancée Chloe Henderson, and admitted the emotional toll of racing every weekend has become difficult to manage. This departure leaves one of NASCAR's premier rides open, with Trackhouse prospect Connor Zilisch already viewed as the leading candidate to fill his place in the number 48 car, which also got some news this weekend as Jimmy Johnson plans his final race to be next year's Daytona 500. Hendrick Motorsports is going to allow him to use that number 48 that Alex Bowman currently uses. So what does Bowman do now?
Another car up there. I'm sure Hendrick can go get another number somewhere.
I believe they still own number 25. I believe, unless they just do a straight up number swap, 48 for 84 for a week. I'm not sure, but that's a February 2027 problem right now.
Yeah, Hendrick Motorsports is like, see how many numbers that they own. They might have some. I would imagine they probably have some alternates. Maybe
I think that it's not necessarily like that. You really only own the numbers that you run. Again, I think 25 has been an alternate of theirs for years. That drivers like Brad Keselowski's driven the number 25 when he first started. So I'm not sure which numbers they do own. They used to own 88. That's Trackhouse now. They started building their brand with number 17. That's Roush now. So I'm not sure which numbers they have licensing for that aren't the numbers that they already have.
Yeah, they have it on here. So I guess the likely alternate, according to the reports, is they are going to give Bowman the 25. So Bowman in that race will race the 25. It's historically been one of their numbers.
Yes.
But they don't have any alternates because NASCAR does not allow any alternates. You only get 4 full-time cars. But that's going to be interesting to see next spring, obviously, for Jimmy Johnson. I think for a lot of us here in San Diego that like the ties to Jimmy. And him being back in the 48 is going to be special.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's going to be at Daytona doing that will be very remarkable. But let's talk about the current chase. Corey Haim gets another victory, captures the Brickyard 400, continues to make history. The 2311 Racing driver captured the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, earning his second Cup Series victory of the season, despite running only a part-time schedule. Haim used a perfectly timed restart to take the lead from co-owner Danny Hamlin, who was just over 30 laps remaining and never looked back. Logano praised Haim afterwards, saying NASCAR will be racing against him for years to come. Pretty remarkable season he is having, even though he's on a part-time schedule. Yeah,
part-time schedule, Cup Truck Series champion last year. He's gotten 2 race wins in a very, very short amount of time, and they're 2 very, very big race wins as well. The Brickyard 400 is a crown jewel.
Baseball coverage on The Fan is brought to you by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. We are moving on from baseball coverage for a second to tell you some local news. We had an update in the Little League. I want to mention Sweetwater Valley got a W yesterday, so they're in a good spot here. They're 1 win away from being in the position that has to get beat twice, which is good. They play Thursday now at 6:30 against Glendora, who beat Scripps Ranch 7-2. So Sweetwater beat Encino 2-1. Glendora beat Scripps Ranch 7-2. Scripps Ranch is now in winner go home mode. They play tonight at 6:30 on Field 6 at Woodfield Park in Aliso Viejo. If Scripps Ranch wins, they'll play the winner of Encino and Golden Hill. Scripps Ranch has yet to play either of those teams. They're on the other side of the bracket. Encino lost to Sweetwater Valley, and so did Golden Hill. Both teams were held to no runs and 1 run. Sweetwater Valley has only allowed 1 run during this tournament, as they have had some pretty good pitching, which is that's the key to winning a lot of games. Again, they have the nephew of Alejandro Kirk on their team, who apparently has been pretty awesome so far in this tournament. So Southern California State tournament for Little League. We have 2 teams left in the full bracket that eventually leads to Williamsport. So hopefully one of the 2 San Diego teams can represent as Southern California in the West Regional, which would happen in August. This tournament will be wrapped up by Sunday. So a lot of games left for a lot of these teams. Scripps Ranch is winner go home now for the rest of the way. Scripps Ranch is now going to have to win tonight, Thursday, Friday, and then twice on Sunday. Obviously a very daunting hill to climb at that point. For Sweetwater Valley, a win today would put them in a great spot where they'd have to get beat twice. If Sweetwater Valley loses on Thursday, then they would have to battle back and play Friday, Sunday. But again, yesterday was a huge win for Sweetwater Valley in that tournament. I do want to give a shout out to one of our fans that listens to our show on a daily basis. He met my mom yesterday at Petco Park. His name is Jake. He grew up in the La Mesa area, so shout out to Jake, who had a great conversation with my mom yesterday. My mom told me all about it. So thanks again for listening, Jake. I'm glad we helped you, get through what you needed to get through at that time, and we love that you listened to us. I told the story to Frank. Frank was choked up about it as well, but it was good to hear that. We appreciate you, Jake, listening to our show each and every day. We love all of our fans that listen to our show every single day here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Okay. Did you get the update from the Century Club today? Did you get the email, Frank? The Century at Torrey Pines? So,
No, I missed that.
remember the conversations in January around the Farmers Insurance Open?
Yes.
Which is now no longer the Farmers Insurance Open. They were losing their sponsor, and the PGA Tour was changing their schedule beginning in 2028, and there was a little bit of a scare about whether or not Torrey Pines was going to be not only, in a good spot in terms of where you're at in the tour, but even on the tour at all. Well, San Diego Golf received a major boost Wednesday as it became official. The Century at Torrey Pines will become one of PGA Tour's premier championship series events beginning in 2028. So not only are they still on the tour, which I think a lot of people thought they were going to be able to pull off, they're actually going to be part of the premier group, which means they're going to get higher purses and everything like that. But the move elevates San Diego's annual PGA Tour stop into the sport's highest competitive tier, placing it alongside the Players' Championship, the 4 major championships, the FedEx Cup playoffs, the Ryder Cup, and President's Cup. This announcement comes just 1 month after Century Insurance replaced Farmers Insurance as the tournament's title sponsor, rescuing an event whose long-term future looked uncertain only 6 months ago after Farmers ended its 17-year sponsorship. So Torrey Pines officially joins PGA Tour's elite schedule. Championship Series will feature approximately 23 to 24 events annually, and the Tour's biggest stars are now expected to compete throughout the season and at Torrey Pines more times than not. And it gives San Diego one of the highest profile annual sporting events on the West Coast. So not just another PGA Tour event anymore. This is going to be one of the biggest tournaments on the calendar. And, it's going to increase the purse. So right now, the purse for the what was the Farmers Insurance Open, now the Century Open, was $9.6 million. That's not winner go. That's not all for the winner take all. That's just for the whole field. That jumps to $20 million as part of the championship series. So that more than doubles the prize money. So higher purses usually mean better fields, more star power, greater television attention, more sponsor investment. And, the championship series format, approximately 120 player field, 72 holes, top 65, and ties make the cut. And because these are marquee events, expect Scotty Scheffler to be here. Expect Rory McIlroy to be here. Xander Schauffele was going to be here more times than not. But Justin Thomas. I mean, virtually every elite player is going to make Torrey Pines a priority, which is great for us here in San Diego.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's fun to see. I believe I think the first time we did the updates, the break updates.
We did a golf one.
Yeah, that was it. It was right around the Farmers. So it's great to see that that San Diego is going to be staying on the tour. It was one of those things where it's like all signs point to the smart move being that, yeah, it's going to stay. But of course, when there's uncertainty, it's never comfortable. But very, very good news to hear that the Torrey Pines will be not only staying on the PGA Tour, but also getting a boost as well.
They're going to continue the Wednesday to Saturday trip or tournament, January 27th to the 30th of next year. I don't know if that changes for 2028 or not. I don't know if they're going to move it to a different part of the calendar. I think it's great for us for tourism in January when everybody is frigid watching NFL conference championship games and then looking at the beautiful landscape that is Torrey Pines in January. But they're doing this to, again, avoid the NFC and AFC Conference Championship Sunday. But this is great. I mean, this is another big sporting event here in town. I love the fact that it's staying at Torrey Pines, and I love the fact that it's now a bigger draw. That's the best part about this. It's now you're going to get, instead of Rory only showing up to play in this thing a couple years before San Diego hosts the U.S. Open, he's going to be doing this all the time now. I mean, you're going to see a lot of these golfers competing in this. And who knows what happens now with Live Golf, kind of coming to a close, Frank, and whether or not they're going to allow these guys to come back in. We'll talk more about that maybe next week. But if you get a lot of the big golfers back in Live Golf folds, you're going to have some pretty good golf here in San Diego. And it's going to be on a national spot. There's going to be people tuned in everywhere for this.
Yeah, not quite a major, but it's as close to a major tournament as you can get coming to San Diego, which is fantastic.
All right. Frank is excited because Griffin Conine hits a 2-run homer, and the Marlins have taken an 8-6 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, looking to sweep the Philadelphia Phillies.
They were down 6-0.
They were.
Going into, I believe, the 5th. And they have brought it all the way back and then some.
Which is honestly perfect timing. Again, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. The Padres got them at exactly the right time. They lose 12 straight games, which is a franchise record. I didn't think they were going to continue that against Philly, and they threw Philly at They threw the Marlins at Philly right at the right time because Philly has now lost every series in the second half. And if they get swept today, I mean, the Marlins are 3 outs away from sweeping Philadelphia. If they sweep the Phillies today and Arizona hangs on to win, the final wild card spot will actually be a tie for the number 2 and 3 wild card spot between Philly and Arizona. And the Padres will be, if they win, a game and a half back from that. A game and a half back from the second wild card spot, which changes the dynamic a little bit here. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Philly was just going to, cruise to that number 2 wild card spot. I mean, they have plummeted in the second half, and they might continue to do so. And I don't really know if they have a lot of options to fix this team at the trade deadline. So that's great news. We'll tell you what happens with Arizona and Pittsburgh. Washington has a 1-0 lead on Toronto. We'll update you on that as well and get you a preview of this afternoon's game as we take you all the way to 12:05 in the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show on San Diego's Norwood Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego FC finally find the missing piece. Club introduced new designated player Elias Okuri this week, and unlike the Chucky Lozano signing, The move was made by sporting director Tyler Heaps and coach Mikey Varas after months of scouting to make sure he fits the team's culture and style. Then, just hours later, San Diego picked up a huge 1-0 victory over FC Dallas behind Alejandro Alvarado Jr.'s first MLS goal and a game-saving defensive play from Mano Dua in stoppage time. After blowing late leads all season, San Diego FC finally finished a match. Now the question becomes, can Corey help lead San Diego back into the playoff race? Second half of the season starts now. And we look at the way that they were able to revive themselves over the weekend, got that extra player they needed, Frank, and ended up getting a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, the club officially announced Tunisian international winger Elias Achouri as its newest designated player, and just hours later earned a much-needed 1-0 victory over FC Dallas. So after months of late-game collapses and inconsistent play, they showed signs of San Diego FC that we remember from last year and before the start of this season. It was a very, very big weekend for San Diego FC for sure.
Which started with a very frustrating week, obviously, because they suffered a heartbreaking 1-0 loss at Colorado after conceding a goal in stoppage time, continuing a troubling trend of giving away points late in matches. But the response against FC Dallas was exactly what this club needed. Alejandro Alvarado Jr. scored his first MLS goal to give San Diego the lead. Mano Dua made a spectacular recovery block in stoppage time to preserve the victory, and it marked the club's first win since May, and more importantly, proved they can finally close out a match. They needed that in the biggest way.
Yeah, first win since May. They haven't played since about May because of the World Cup, so it's not like a big dry spell for them. But yeah, this was a huge comeback victory, and for Alvarado, a huge announce yourself moment for them. We talked about it on the show on Monday about him consistently trying to be more of a team player and be a playmaker and look for the perfect pass. Instead of just going out there and taking the moment for himself, he does that, takes a long shot from outside the box and rolls it on through for the one and only goal in the 50th minute of that game on Saturday night. So big moment for Alvarado. And again, it felt like a turning point for San Diego FC.
San Diego now travels to face Minnesota United, one of the Western Conference's toughest teams at home. Big question is whether San Diego FC can build on the momentum from the Dallas victory before opening a very important Leagues Cup play against Club Tijuana next week. I mean, it's only one game, but I feel like, you know, the consistencies or the trend lines and the mirroring between the Padres and San Diego FC both need a better second half. Both have shown that they can compete at a high level. Both haven't been able to finish, and both finally started to do that, but need to do it on a consistent basis. We saw that San Diego FC can be the team that you expect them to be, but can they do that more than just once a week? That's going to be the big question leading into a very tough stretch for them in the second half.
Yeah, and right now, San Diego FC currently sees themselves within striking position as far as the standings out west are concerned. They currently sit at 20 points, and the cut line is 25. That's 2 wins. Right. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The cut line sits at 23. That's 2 wins. That's an win. And you're playing the team that currently holds that cut line position, that playoff position right now in Minnesota. They're sitting 1 point behind Seattle. Houston and Dallas are at 26 points. They're 5 and 6. And St. Louis City is at 25 points, and they're sitting 7th. So you're not far away. You can still make moves, and there's a lot of time left in this season. You're going to be playing a lot of games here very, very close because you had to stop for the World Cup break. But still, a playoff spot is certainly not out of the question. You look and see, they're 12th in standings. They're a win away from being a playoff team. So, yes, they could be doing a lot better, but they're not far off of where they need to be.
Elias Achouri, too, is, a new designated player. And, Chucky Lozano, obviously, he's got a cult following, and they were on display over the weekend. And we mentioned this on the show. I mean, with the problems that San Diego FC has, Chucky Lozano's not fixing those problems. This is not a byproduct of not having him part of the team anymore. But which is interesting about Achouri is, They signed Lozano to be that like mainstay guy, the promotion face of the franchise to get people engaged with San Diego FC. But now that they have established themselves. 97 through the Fans trade deadline coverage is presented by City Cruises Live. Experiences done different. I went to like move the scroll over so I could read the thing, and it went all the way to the bottom, which is not ideal, not fun. We are broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Okay. Update for you. As we got back from break, Miami pulls off the comeback. They were down 6-0 to the Phillies. They win 8-6. Conine hit the home run in the bottom of the 8th inning, a 2-run homer, and the Phillies get swept by the Fish. That's pretty significant considering the standings now with Philadelphia with a Diamondbacks win today, and they lead at 3-0 going to the bottom of the 9th. Philadelphia is going to be tied with Arizona for the final two. The final two spots in the wild card are going to be in a tied position, which means, I mean, regardless of what Arizona does, to be honest with you, the Padres with a win are going to be a game and a half behind Philly. That's honestly remarkable. Toronto is up. Oh, Toronto has now tied the game with Washington. This would be huge for the Padres as well. Washington was leading 1-0. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Toronto's got is tied 1-1 with runners on first and second and 2 outs for Schneider at the plate. A Blue Jays win would be huge because if the results currently hold, with Washington losing to Toronto, they're tied, so who knows how that plays out. Arizona beating Pittsburgh and Philadelphia losing. With the Padres getting a victory today, they would find themselves as the first team out of a playoff spot. They would have jumped both Pittsburgh and Washington, and they would be a game and a half out of the final wild card spot, which would be pretty awesome. Now, if Pittsburgh wins, it's relatively the same, but they would only be a half game out. But things are working out for the Padres, and they boot the play at shortstop. Oh, my God. Was that Abrams?
I don't see why I wouldn't have. No, it was not.
That's not C.J. Abrams. He booted that ball so poor. That was so bad. Bases are loaded for Toronto, tied at 1, 2 outs, top of the 6th, top of the order is coming up for the Blue Jays.
Pinango? That's who's coming up for the Blue Jays. Oh, my goodness. Nunez. Yikes.
Rockies need to call him up right now. Fit that team immediately. Is that Nunez or Ezekiel Tovar over there?
He draws the foul.
Hey, man, don't extend the game. Don't make me have to tweet out, the game is not over. The game is not over. The game is not over. Sack fly confirmed. Game is now over. Thanks for that, Colorado. You guys were holding out hope for the game there.
Mike Pomerantz was a little sassy last night with it, too, on postgame.
I don't know how you could be that bad at defense and call yourself a professional baseball team. I mean, that was rough, Frank. That was so bad.
Oh, God, it was pathetic.
That was so bad.
And it's funny. If there's ever a team that does it, it's always the Rockies, and it's always here. The worst defensive performances I have seen over the last couple of years have been the Rockies, and they do it here. I mean, I've seen games where the opposing team tries to give the other team a win. The way the Rockies do it so obviously every single time, and it's always here. They never do it at home.
We'll keep you updated on what happens in Toronto and Washington. We do have some time, and I do want to get to it today. There's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. Before we preview Padres and Rockies, we have some time now before we have to get to the top of the hour. Let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on in the sports world today?
Error does not hurt the Nationals. They get a ground out, inning over.
They're tied.
Number 1.
Game is tied.
49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan. This happened just after we went off air yesterday. Kyle Shanahan publicly accepted full responsibility for the car accident that left him with a concussion, a broken hand, broken ribs, and a broken nose, and nearly cost him his right eye. Shanahan explained he briefly took his eyes off the road while reaching for his phone that he dropped, causing his vehicle to veer into oncoming traffic and collide with another SUV. He also wanted to correct reports that initially blamed the other driver, saying that it was important that she not be unfairly criticized. Police later confirmed a clerical error in the reporting system that stated Shanahan was found at fault, though no citations were issued. As he continues recovering, Shanahan says the concussion has been the most difficult part of the healing process, but he's grateful that no one else was seriously injured. Good job by Kyle Shanahan for taking accountability, or is this accident just another unneeded distraction at Niners camp this year?
I mean, good for him for taking responsibility. I don't understand why we made this such a big deal. Why is this such a big deal? Why does everybody, why does every reporter want to, make this they're hiding something, Look, there's a couple of things with this. One, the Niners shouldn't be allowed, and ESPN with their deal with NFL should not be allowed to, hold things for the betterment of the Niners. I agree with that. Otherwise, what's the point in the media anyway? I mean, isn't that the whole point of journalism is to not abide by, and actually report the facts? I get that part, but it's not like they're covering something up. I don't know why the Niners made this such a big deal. I don't know why reporters made this such a big deal. And then Shanahan just went and was yeah, I took my eyes off the road, and that. All right, cool. I'm glad everybody was safe. I mean, it's a good teaching point not to be on your phone when you're driving, but why? Why is this a big deal? I'm glad everybody is okay. That should be the first and foremost. He got in an accident. I don't even know about his personal information. The Niners probably shouldn't have made it such a big deal anyway. I mean, the police reports get posted anyway. If you wanted to look, it's okay, cool. And then was it a gotcha because he was on his phone? I mean, he shouldn't be on his phone, but I don't know why they had to make this such a big story that it really needed to be. It's a non-story.
Because people are dumb and it's the NFL. That's why.
I mean,
Number 2.
Mike Florio was just all about this. It's a problem. It's I get it, man. You don't want the Niners to tell you when to post stuff. And you shouldn't abide. You shouldn't have to abide for that. And it's kind of whack that ESPN, now that they have a deal with the NFL, that they kind of hold stuff for them. They shouldn't control these journalists, but at the same time, this is kind of the business as it is. I don't know why they made this such a big deal. I don't get it.
Pure stupidity. A major power struggle is brewing in international soccer as UEFA is reportedly organizing an emergency meeting with its 55 member associates to discuss opposing FIFA's proposal to sell minority equity in a new commercial entity valued at $20 billion. FIFA says the plan would generate billions in additional funding for member nations while maintaining full control over the sport's governance. But UEFA, which is the governing body for all of Europe, argues that football isn't FIFA's to sell and has criticized the lack of transparency surrounding outside investors. Sources say UEFA is even discussing the possibility of boycotting future World Cups, similar to the pressures that helped stop FIFA's proposed Biennial, Biennial,
Sure.
World Cup in 2021.
If the disagreement escalates, it could become one of the biggest political battles the sport has seen in years, with the future governance and commercial direction of global soccer hanging in the balance. Is FIFA right to pursue outside investment if it means more money for developing the game? Or does UEFA have a point that football's bigger competitions should never be open to private investors?
All right, so FIFA wants to get into private equity, I guess, to pump some money into their pockets, and UEFA is saying...
But FIFA's a nonprofit, though.
Well, so was the NFL for a long time. Nonprofit only means that at the end of the day, the books are even. That's the only thing that means. I mean, nonprofits make a ton of money. But to go back to that, I kind of agree with UEFA in a sense that, like, FIFA doesn't control all of soccer, right? Like, are they in charge of soccer? Like, do they own the sport of soccer? Like, nobody's allowed to do anything but them?
I mean, no. I mean, this is an organization that's so corrupt and thinks so highly of themselves that they made a movie about creating the World Cup. In what sports movie have you ever watched were the executives the heroes? That was FIFA's World Cup movie. Is they were the heroes. They created soccer, they created the World Cup. This organization is just so dirty and so backwards and so corrupt that I don't see a way that UEFA is going to lose in the court of public opinion here. This is a vast majority of the nations that appear in the World Cup are UEFA sanctioned nations. Including a majority of the winners, by the way.
FIFA's going to just go, it's better, we're going to develop all these other teams. No, you're not. You're not going to develop anything. You're just going to take the money.
Yep, exactly.
UEFA's got a good point. It's like, what do you mean you guys get to, what says you get to control all the money, right? It's going to be like, oh, we spent all this money on this. And then all of a sudden you look at the books and, like, only like 5% of it actually went to that, or they never paid that. It just sounds like the government. All right, moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 3.
Ole Miss is suing former players Princewell, I'm not hurting myself, and Devin Harper for nearly $1 million, claiming they violated revenue-sharing contracts by transferring to LSU shortly after agreeing to return to the Rebels. University says both contracts include financial penalties for leaving within 90 days, and neither player paid after transferring. The lawsuit could become a landmark case as schools begin testing how enforceable revenue-sharing agreements are in this new era of college athletics. Should schools be able to enforce revenue-sharing contracts, or should players still have to complete freedom to Should players still have complete freedom to transfer?
No.
You signed a contract.
This is the contract.
Congratulations.
These are the buyouts for the contract. You wanted to be big boys and make all this money. Here are the consequences to your actions. It's not hard. In the NFL, you can't do that. If you sign a contract in the NFL, you can't just be like, you know what? I don't like playing here anymore. The coach doesn't like me. I'm going to leave and sign a better contract somewhere else. That team's going to be like, go kick rocks, buddy. This is how this works. There's too much. We're giving the youth too many reset buttons. Let's restart. No. They should be allowed to sue to get their money back. You signed a deal. This is your contract. You thought at the time this was the correct compensation and the correct environment for you. That's why you signed the deal. It didn't just magically change overnight. They should be held to the standard of their contract. Put these contracts in. Let's make this. Let's get the Congress. Let's get Congress involved. Let's put the rules in. Let's make sure these guys know this is how things work in the real world and not the fantasy world they live in.
But we spent all the money. We don't have it anymore.
Oh well. Tough S, man.
Looks like you need to take a finance class.
You play
then.
stupid games. You win stupid prizes. You decide to leave and break your contract to go to another school. That school that signed the contract isn't going to be like, okay, go do what you want.
getting hard to feel bad for you.
Number 4.
One team it is kind of hard to feel easy to feel bad for right now is the Boston Red Sox. They suffered an immediate setback.
Does anybody really feel bad for the Boston Red Sox?
Remember how they traded Connolly early for Curtis Mead?
Correct. Yes, I know the story.
Yeah. Well,
it's unfortunate.
Way to just...
It's a big hang with them.
Way to just rain. The listeners may not know.
I'm gonna let you explain it. That's what I'm saying. It's a big hang with them.
The Red Sox suffered an immediate setback after newly acquired infielder Curtis Mead broke his left wrist in his Boston debut. Mead was hit by a pitch on Monday night. While initial x-rays were negative, the MRI later revealed a fracture. He'll now head to the IL indefinitely as Boston waits to learn if surgery will be required. It's a tough break for one of baseball's hottest teams, especially after trading for Mead to strengthen their lineup ahead of the deadline. With Curtis Mead now sidelined indefinitely, should the Red Sox look for another bat before the deadline or trust the depth that they have?
Well, they obviously needed it the first time. That's why they made this trade, right? I mean, it sounds like they got to go get... They basically just gave up a player for nothing. That's unfortunate. I mean, they'll have him maybe next year. I don't know his contract, but that's a big hang with him, and they're going to have to go find somebody else.
Yeah,
it sucks. Sometimes it sucks. There's nothing you can do about that. It's not like it was a hidden medical issue. I mean, literally
it was a freak injury. Yeah.
It's a fluke. That happens. That could happen to any of those players. Aren't you glad it happened now, where you still have time to make a trade, than like having that happen August 4th, and now you can't trade, and now you're stuck with exactly what you had before the trade deadline, except you have one less controllable player? Yeah, they got to go find a replacement now. Add it to
Number 5.
Add it to their list.
One team that does not have to search for a replacement is the Browns. They have locked up star cornerback Denzel Ward with a 2-year, $62.2 million extension that includes more than $52 million guaranteed. The deal makes Ward the highest paid defensive back in NFL history for the second time in his career and keeps one of Cleveland's defensive leaders in place after the offseason trade of Myles Garrett. Ward, a 5-time Pro Bowler and Cleveland native, has been one of the league's top corners since being drafted 4th overall in 2018, and the Browns are clearly making him a centerpiece of their defense moving forward. Did the Browns make the right move by making Ward the NFL's highest paid defensive back, or is $62.2 million over 2 years just too much money for a corner?
Well, I can't remember off the top of my head. Did Myles Garrett want out of Cleveland, right? Did he demand the trade, or?
I don't remember if he directly said, I want out, or if it was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind leaving. Like one of those kind of deals.
If I had to pick between like a corner and a D lineman that is elite level that is Myles Garrett, I'm sticking with the D lineman because those guys don't grow on trees. Corners are corners are really good, but the reality is if you had to take one or the other, you always want to take a D lineman because a good pass rush and creating pressure makes the corner's job 10 times easier. If you have no pressure and you have the best corner in the world, he can't cover forever. I mean, you're trying to cover for like 3 seconds because your D-line should get there within the 3 to 4 seconds, maybe the NFL. But your guys should be able to get there by then. And you're looking for corners that can cover guys in that amount of time. I mean, even the best in the world can't do that. And you're going to spend a lot of money on Ward. I mean, he's a great corner. He's a great player, but just with like what the Browns need, they can't be putting like a huge percentage of their salary cap on him.
$31.1 million a year for the next 2 years.
How old is he?
I'm not sure. I do not know.
I'd rather the D-line. I'd rather have the D-line investment. I'd do whatever it takes to keep the D-line over guys like, Ward. That's coming from a guy that coaches DBs. It's better to have defensive linemen. Everything starts up front in football. If you don't have a pass rush, doesn't matter how long those guys cover. Unless you just have elite corners and an entire elite defensive backfield where they could cover for 5 seconds, so you get coverage sacks. I just don't see it. I don't see a situation in which like signing the corner makes more sense. If it comes down to that, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
if they knew they were going to keep Myles Garrett, they wanted to keep him and at least have the defense be solid, then it's a fine pickup. I mean, he's a good player. It's not like he's not a good player.
Really quick before we do the
Station ID. 10 seconds.
Before we get to the
15 seconds.
I know, but we had 6 seconds, now 5 seconds, now 4 seconds, now 3 seconds.
doesn't have to be right at the top. It's got to be within 5 and 5.
I know, but it's better that way. It's cooler. And now you missed it. All right, go ahead.
I was going to say we'll do a quick sixth one here because we've got Tarek Skubal has just finished up in Detroit, 6 2/3 innings, 3 runs. He's still responsible for one runner that's on right now. Detroit leads 7-3. First inning, he has 6 strikeouts on the day through 6 2/3. He is done. The first inning, though, he did get his 1,000th career strikeout for the Detroit Tigers. So Skubal's last start before the trade deadline, 6 2/3 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, including his 1,000th career strikeout. He still potentially could get a 4th run hung on him, though.
We'll see. But standing ovation. Maybe the last time for Tarek Skubal in a Tigers uniform.
I don't think we have to call for the legal ID because it's on here already. So,
I think you have to still.
No.
Did he just put it at the end?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he put it after.
I thought he wanted us to do that at the top of the hour.
Well, it's in here.
All right, cool. You can take responsibility for it then. When Adam goes, why did it get played at noon on the dot like everybody else's? You're setting yourself up for it. I mean, it's your choice. Padres and Rockies today. Padres are in a good position. Toronto's got runners on the corners with 2 outs at a tie ball game in the top of the 7th. If Dalton Varsho can get a base knock, that helps out the Padres in a big way. Phillies lost today after leading 6-0. And so now when you look at the National League wild card, the Diamondbacks have the second wild card spot tied with the Phillies. How about that? Padres made a roster move. Jeremiah Estrada's back. Matt Waldron has been DFA'd. Not surprised by that.
No, not at all.
We were going through the chaos pitching thing on, what was that, Monday? And you're starting to go like, all right, well, you get this guy back. You can help with the chaos pitching and cross this guy off the list. I mean, Matt Waldron was one of our early guys crossing off the list pretty quickly. So not surprised by that. Padres get a bullpen ad here with Jeremiah Estrada today. And they could use it after, the bullpen did not do well yesterday. Oh, he booted it. Oh. A ground ball swinging bunt up the third baseline. It gets booted by the Nationals' third baseman. Runner from third comes home to score. Toronto takes a 2-1 lead with runners on first and second and 2 outs.
We did get this one just before the show started, real quick.
We did get a lineup today.
Lineup: Fernando in right, Cronenworth at second, Machado at third, France at first, Merrill in center, Rengifo in left, Sheets your DH, Bogaerts at short,
Fermin, your catcher, with Kyle Hart doing the hurling, at least to start.
Griffin Canning, if he pitches today, man, he's going to be the next one on this list if he does not pitch well. I mean, at this point. Because they're expecting Devin Morgan to come back mid-August. We'll see what happens with Jason Adam. That's the final out of the inning. Toronto with a 2-1 lead. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show. When we come back, we'll talk to you guys on Thursday.